Yeah, epic. Yeah, you can actually see here, that's the opening. Wheat as an example.
Yeah,
so
wheat's
then,
a big one, yeah.
Yeah, and then the way that people produce wheat now is a completely different strains to what we've eaten in the past as human beings. And then bread lasts up to 7 days, whereas if you make your bread fresh, it lasts a couple of days and it's solid as a rock. You could build a house with it.
But still, like, if you go to France and you eat a massive baguette in the middle of the day, you still feel okay.
No, you're right.
If you eat bread over here, you're done.
Yeah,
There's
mate.
no way you can do anything.
The French have got real pride in the artisanal, you know, bread and food and all bits and pieces, you know. Yeah, mate, check it out.
Oh, yeah.
It's freaking kicking ass. So good.
It is gorgeous, isn't it? It's when everything's yellow.
Yeah.
And then also all this is all pink.
Yeah, that's it, because you're going to get all the heather coming up as well. Some alcohol makers with the gorse flower.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they use it as a botanical in gin.
Ah, no way.
Yeah. Mate, the gin makers, they want to put anything in gin.
Yeah.
I think because gin in general, like on its own, is quite like, it's not a very nice taste. So they just stick everything else in it.
Yeah.
And then chuck a mixer in there as well to make it a bit more palatable. There's Flav, he's got one, there's a milk-based one, isn't there?
Right, that's weird.
Yeah,
I know. It's like milk vodka.
I know. So yeah, you think it's just going to curdle it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous up here, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, it's amazing.
This is my favourite spot.
Yeah, because we did those bits of Sean Rankin, didn't we?
I've got to do another shoot with him soon.
Wicked.
And then he's doing a project on the Gold Coast in Australia, so I've got to go and shoot him over there.
No ways.
Yeah.
Oh, fair play to him. Yeah, I just bumped into him over at the Easter holiday.
This is good, actually. Just keep walking with the dog and get some pictures here.
Yeah, Ella's getting a bit long in the tooth now.
Yeah, how old is she now?
She's 13.
Has Tamsin got you involved in this year's OCL?
Can't remember. Mate, I'm a nightmare, man. I forget everything.
That's fine, mate.
What day is it?
Well, it's June the 7th, 6th, 7th and 8th.
Okay, yeah, I might have time then.
Yeah, that could be good.
Because then it's the week after. I've got activity weeks all the way through till September. Oh yeah, mate, look at this.
Yeah, mate, look at this, right?
Beauty.
So good, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not been here for a while, actually. Yeah, you do that little wiggly bit around there and go to the top. And I used to come up and just chill up there. It's like a cool power place, isn't it? My auntie, she's now 80, 85.
Right.
And she showed me some of her old Super 8 and slides, little slide things, plastic slide that she's got from then.
Yeah.
And if it was 1965, her and some girls climbed up with a makeshift tent and they slept there for a couple of days.
No way.
Yeah.
I heard a story that someone fell down there once.
Yeah, they did. I was here. I was here on the day that it happened.
No way.
Yeah. So me and John Fox were out here doing some activities, and then someone was screaming down there that they needed help. And basically a dad and the son had gone down. He asked the wife to pass down the son and he slipped and took the son with him.
Oh my God, no way.
So bad.
That's so bad.
Yeah, but so there's a cave in the front of this whole...
Yeah, look at them getting... Let me get you with a dog.
She's brilliant, mate. She knows the right places to pose it out. And the kayaks this morning as well with me.
She's on the kayak with you?
Yeah, on the kayak with me. I had a group.
Oh, look at that picture. It's so cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so around there, then you go through there's like a big pond and there's a smaller pond. You get to the very edge and you just jump in, come back on yourself, and there's this big curved out smooth hole in there.
Amazing.
You just free dive into it.
Wicked.
Yeah, it's really good. And then on a clear day, normally around August time, then it's really nice down there.
I'm doing climbing all the way along those bits there, and there's some wicked pools. You know, on the low tides, just forms all these little basins.
Go and get a picture of the dog.
Stay there. Hey, let's stay. Good girl, stay there.
I love it.
Stay there, kid. What is it? What's it now? Hey? What is it? Mate, straight eyes on the sea every time. I think she prefers being in the water than being on the land.
It was years ago when we did that shoot with Visit Jersey and you and the dog.
Yeah. Was that down in St. One's?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in so many.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, she's salt of the earth and salt of the sea.
Nice little spot over there. We can just go and
Cool.
have a seat.
Oh yeah, because I used to run an abseil down there. There's a main face down there.
Oh yeah.
So you've got a little plateau on the top of there that you can sit as well.
You're still doing a lot of climbing?
Yeah, I do, but it's more me running it for other people rather than me doing it personally myself. If I get a chance and people go, oh, go on, you have a go. Or I take out, there's one of my instructors that wants to get her climbing qualification. So I've been taking her out every now and again. But
Yeah.
you know what, any free moment I want to go surfing because my brothers are in all the time. You know what I mean? So if I ever want to spend time with my brothers, I've got to go surfing. And I love surfing anyway.
Yeah.
But it's...
Are you doing more of it these days?
Yeah, I'm doing more of it. I'm doing as much as I can. Like, just bumping into the guys there. I was in Sri Lanka for a month. We were in Morocco the start of December. We go for a surf trip.
I'm gonna get a nice shot of you guys just walking
No
over
worries.
there.
Hello, come. Come on in. Oh, mate. Honestly, what a spot. It's so good. Ella, what's this? Come here. What's this? Ella.
Get a little panoramic.
Yeah, it's like a perfect pocket down here. Ella, come. What's this?
Gorgeous. Stay up on that top rock there?
This one here.
Yeah.
Ella, come here.
Yeah, I love that.
What's this? Come here. Just says all right?
Yeah, that's good, that's good.
Hello, what's it? Yeah, what a spot.
So good.
Yeah, mate, that back little reef probably works really nice. Is that the Stinkies reef?
I think, yeah, there's definitely some really good spots there.
Yeah. Ella, come here. Ella, what's this? Ella, who's this here? Ella, what's this? Oh, she's seen something over there. That's better. Ella, what's this here? Come here. Ella, come. You know what? You threw a rock, she'd fly off.
No, she wouldn't.
She would.
You see that footage recently with the baby penguins jumping off that huge ice sheet
No.
in Antarctica?
No.
Oh my God, it's so crazy.
Super high.
Super high, first time it's been filmed. Because they all twaddle down to the water on their own, don't they? The
Yeah.
parents have already left them. So they all go down as like little youngsters, like first time jumping in the sea. And then you see them, they all get to this edge, like 70-foot drop.
No way.
They're there and they're all piling up, like bum, 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 bum. And then when one goes, then all the rest of them go. And they'll start jumping off and falling off and rolling through the air.
Bouncing off the sides and stuff.
No, not bouncing off the sides.
Just free fall.
Yeah, it's kind of like curved.
Wow, man.
You see them jumping off, you'll see it pop up.
And that's amazing as a flightless birds.
Yeah.
Their first initial thing is like,
they just know, it's like instinct, isn't it? Like, that's a long drop. Never seen that before.
Yeah.
Just been on flat ice, and then now there's this huge drop, but there's water there, and I know I'm supposed to be in it.
That's amazing, man. That's so amazing. Hello.
Let's have a look down here.
Perfect. It's really exposed, when you go down there. It's brilliant. You abseil down into it, and you look, it looks so far, but there's a plateau just down there, a little platform. Yeah. But yeah, it's full on, mate.
Oh, there's rabbits down there.
Yeah, mate, look at that. That makes the legs go a little bit.
Look at that rabbit right on the cliffs there.
Yeah. Wicked, man. It's so nice to be that elemental vibe around here, mate, with heights as well. It's wicked. Makes you feel alive.
It does, yeah.
And then you see straight across there, you've got like a rock sitting on another rock. That's Rabbit's head.
Oh, yeah.
When you get close to it, you can actually see that it's the shape of a rabbit. Ella, don't go for an abseil.
There's some good climbing around there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, it's well good climbing.
I need to get back into it.
Oh, mate, were you into it, were you?
Yeah, when I was a kid, with my dad.
No, sweet.
He used to take me down here. I remember the first time I went, I just got halfway up or halfway down. I just started crying. I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, mate, it's so full on. Like just the adrenaline.
Yeah, you can come this way, yeah.
And the fight and flight is quite crazy with climbing. I find that with surfing as well, especially when you feel like you're out of your depth. With how big the waves are. Morocco, I felt I was really out of my depth. The current and everything.
When were you in Morocco?
So that was first week of December.
We could probably sit here, to be fair.
Yeah, Ella, come here, come low down. Yeah, just don't go back a bit. Your eyesight goes down to is pretty full on. It shows you how high the actual pinnacle is from the other side. It's a 2-pitch climb you have to do it in. So you climb halfway, then have to fix all your ropes, pull your mate up, and then re-climb again to be able to make it.
We've seen some of those documentaries with El Capitan and the kind of speed that they're getting up there now.
Hey, Alex Honnold and all those guys, because he's the original.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Dawn Wall guy. Mate, I was there 2005.
Oh, okay.
And I was climbing to the left. It's called the Royal Arches. It's a 15-pitch climb.
Yeah.
So it's like 15 rope lengths in order to make it, 50-meter rope lengths or whatever. And we were climbing. I was at the top and I was doing quite a difficult section, climbing, placing gear, clipping in and all that kind of stuff. You're lead climbing it. I had 4 other guys with me, like Tim Lydiard was one of them.
Okay.
And there was a few other guys like Dave Tipping and all that.
Yeah.
And the next minute, like, this guy appears next to me, like, hey, man, how's it going? It's so cool. Turn around, and I goes, mate, I'm in the zone. I goes, I'm just trying to work out this move. And I looked over, and he's like, a little bit tubby guy, no ropes, mate.
No.
No ropes, on his own. And, like, this was like a sustained difficulty bit where I was on. He's just chatting to me. Mate, you going to sleep up the top tonight? I goes, yeah, man, I think we're going to camp out. And he goes, rad, man, have a good one. Just goes.
Just like scoots past.
Mate, it took us, like, I don't know how many hours. It took us about 7-8 hours to do this.
These people are nuts, though,
Mate,
aren't
they're
they?
nuts. You think you're sustaining a certain level when you're climbing, you've got ropes, and okay, things can go wrong. You've placed your gear wrong and you fall and you can just be flying down loads and injure yourself and all that.
Yeah.
But these guys, mate, it's like instant.
No falling.
You've messed something up, you're gone.
No, nothing.
So yeah.
It's like they make again, it's that thing, isn't it? They make it look so easy, but it's like the big wave surfers, they make it look easy.
Yeah.
But then if you paddle out and it's double overhead, you're scared.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I don't want to get this in the head.
No, this is it.
There's that wave, you get hammered, you're down for 2 seconds and you're out of breath.
No, that's it.
Like double.
No, even the other day, I got hit on the head by one of the waves, and I must have not breathed in properly at the time. And I was under and I was relaxed, and in the end finding my leash, but I was actually in the end like, that you feel like it's your brain telling you've got nowhere, like, oh, take a gulp. And I came up and I was a bit like, oh my God, like I actually feel out of breath on that one.
Heart rate's just gone up.
Yeah.
All the oxygen has gone out of your body, But it's relaxed. It's all about calm.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to be calm in those situations.
No, exactly.
Like that Alex Honnold.
Yeah.
They did a test on him, didn't they? And it was like, he has like no nerves. It's almost like he has there is no fear.
Yeah.
He has no fear.
Wow.
Level. And they did it like a brain test on him and everything.
So he actually just doesn't have that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's far out. That's far out. Because they're calling it, isn't it, the T gene or something, which is the people that are just, they're thrilled, they've got this thrill gene in them that can allow them to go further than your average human being. Their fight is so much stronger than their flight.
Do you think that just comes from like doing repetitive, scary things though, that put fear in and it becomes less and less? And then you're searching more and more. Or
it can go opposite, that you do loads of fearful things and then you have a bad one and then it puts you back. But some of these guys is like, they just live off that thing and it fuels them for the next one.
Yeah.
Like that Kai Lenny. Like you see him doing these mad aerial things like at Nazare, and then he gets wiped out and he's like just so matter of fact about it. Oh yeah, so that happened, and like, yeah, it's cool.
And you just see the biggest wave that was some of the biggest waves that have ever come just landing on him, and he's just still calm. And shouting, but he's still calm.
Yeah, and then you got him like doing 360s on the top of it. Yeah. And then coming down. It's like wild. Another level.
It is wild. What's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear? I don't even know. I've got so many fears. But cool fears in a way, like in climbing with height. Even though I love to climb, I'm actually definitely feel a bit scared of heights when I'm in certain bits, and the sea, that whole drowning thing. But then I really love going in the sea. So I wouldn't say I've got a particular fear that I would say really stands out. I've got ones that fuel me to do the stuff that I actually really like to do. Because I think having that element of fear then then progresses you in your mind, your spirit and everything, doesn't it? It allows you to push past, gives you challenge, instead of it just being some boring, you know, everyday life that you're doing the same stuff. It's monotonous. There's no thrill, challenge or anything in it. So I guess my fear is those couple of bits of pieces I mentioned, probably millions or more. like spiders, big spiders.
Yeah, okay.
Like I've spent a lot of time in different jungles around the world.
Yeah.
And massive spiders like freak me out. But I'll be in the same space as them, but I've got a healthy respect. And sharks, even like sharks, I can have a fear of sharks, but once I'm in the water with them, I see them as really awe-inspiring. And then, you know, like you've done loads yourself, I've had the opportunity to scuba dive with lots big, I don't know, what do you call it, a shoal, or I don't know how you even say, with multiple sharks around. Is there a name for that?
I don't know what the name is. I don't think it's a school. I think it's just a lot of sharks.
Yeah, a lot of sharks. So I've been in places where it's been loads of sharks, like Galapagos. I was with all the hammerhead sharks, and massive groups of them.
Wow.
And it was off, I've forgotten, it's like an extinct volcano that erupted. It's made this ash, like mountain dragged thing, and it's split in half.
Yeah.
And it's Shark Alley through the middle.
Yeah.
And you've got all the smaller reef sharks, Galapagos sharks, and all that in there through this whole, and they're just surrounding you. And then at the end, you see the hammerhead sharks coming through these big fish balls and all that, and it's
amazing.
It's quite crazy. But when I'm under the water, you're seeing all the sharks around you, but I feel chilled.
100%.
But sometimes if I've sat on a surfboard and I'm on my own and I'm like in a foreign country, sometimes I have it going through my head thinking there's going to be a shark coming underneath me.
That's interesting though that you said it. When you put it that way, I think that's the fear of the unknown though. Right?
Yeah, fear of the unknown.
Because when you're in the ocean and you're under the ocean, it's the calmest place you can be. When you're surrounded by sharks, you're in their environment, but you can see that there's a mutual respect.
Yeah, exactly. They know you're there.
The water, and you know you don't know what's below you.
Yeah.
But that's the unknown.
No, exactly.
That's the fear of the unknown. Which I guess that also comes into, when we're talking about fears though, like outside of just the obvious of the fear of heights or the fear of sharks, fear of spiders, I would never spend too much time in a forest, man. I'm too scared of creepy crawlers. That's not my place.
Yeah.
Give me the ocean.
Yeah.
Not forest. But fears in life, like what are the biggest fears that you think you've had to overcome in your own kind of like personal life, not just
my own personal life? Can't actually think of my fears in my personal life. I guess, you know, well, no, I think I've actually always been generally all right, you know, with things that come along. And I've kind of always had an idea of kind of what I've wanted to do, what makes me feel good. I'm just trying to think of any like big fears. I guess you can have fear of loss of family and things like that. When you then suddenly have a family, and I've got my daughter and my wife and all that, you've got fears surrounding the protection of them in a way. Sometimes you have that responsibility. But in general, through my life, I guess I haven't really had a huge amount of fear going into things. I've always like into nature massively, obviously into the ocean massively, into the forest and jungle massively. Yeah. And again, I know we're going off back onto those fears, and I've had fear going into those things, but love it, just love the way it makes me feel.
Yeah, okay.
But I think in general in life, I guess I struggle sometimes with certain areas of society. I get fear from tax. I get fear from stuff related to the government. It doesn't make me feel good. Like I get heebie-jeebies. I get like anxiety when I think about anything in the system that affects us. That doesn't make me feel good. But if I'm in nature, like even going out for a surf for a couple of hours, I know no one can get me on the phone. No one can get me on a computer. I'm not saying that I'm avoiding people, because people are also my job, and I love it, and I love inspiring others as well as them inspiring me, and working with kids and all groups and all that. But it's nice to step out of the whole what you're expected to do in the system, I think. It's all the hoop jumping, you know, I'm just not good at that. All the admin stuff, I'm terrible at it. Whereas then being out and doing stuff that makes me feel good is also my job. So I guess I've managed to get a beauty that I've got a job that I absolutely love. It fuels me, and then I guess relatively keeps my fears down, or it's good fear instead of it being like a kooky anxiety and feeling that, feel kooky about stuff. Yes, definitely that side of life, like even city life. Like I'm not a big city person.
Okay.
You put me in the middle of a city, I feel quite anxious. Well, it depends what kind of city, I quite love going to London and other bits and pieces every now and again for a couple of days, but just not for a long time.
That's a good answer. I think that's a really interesting answer, though. And I wonder if, from you saying that, if it is just because you have chosen to surround yourself only in nature.
Yeah.
And I think so many people are held back by their own personal fears. The fear of stepping out their comfort zone into trying something different, or the fear of trying a new hobby or a new job, or going to a new location, or go travel on their own. Like lots of people are held back by these fears that when you step through them, anything is possible.
Yeah.
But I think that what you've done, you've always been in nature, and I think that for anybody just to be in nature is the most kind of free spirit thing that we can have.
Oh, definitely, because going back through our ancestry, human beings is where we're meant to be.
Yeah.
And it's where I feel at my best. And so, it's where the place I need to be every time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, like you're saying about those fears of stepping into certain things, but once you realize that fear is fueling you to even feel better when you're in nature, like honestly, like being here where we are now, like this fuels me amazingly. It's like so cool to be in a natural space, all inspiring, like you're seeing big structures or even to tiny creatures, and then going back to that whole jungle vibe. I love that we're the guest.
That's nice.
There's not many places there is still many places, but our world seems to, and it's told to us multiple times how small the world's getting. There's people everywhere, whereas you can go into a jungle and you feel very small, and there's lots of things that can potentially harm you. And if you look back at that movie like the Avatar, and there's parts of that movie that really ring true, where you've got the native peoples that are living there, and they're observing this guy who's come in this body that looks like them, but is not doing anything right and causes the death of this and the death of that. And he's standing on this, he's upsetting that. If you come into an area like that without the right knowledge, without the right people who've given you maybe guidance, whatever, you can learn stuff on your own. But the jungle's a very difficult place to learn stuff on your own. But if you start following the normal etiquette of the way nature is doing its thing, you can keep yourself relatively out of trouble. Got the right skills. And I love that. I love feeling small in areas. While you climb a mountain, you feel tiny and again, enveloped by this massive thing of nature. But it just humbles you, and I think it puts you in a place to remind you that there's a lot of things a lot bigger than us, bigger than human beings, then bigger than, banks and money and greed and all this selfishness and all that. You can actually just put it all back to rights. And that's why I teach from nature, because I see how much humbling and how good it can help with healing and challenging you and putting you in all the great things about being a human being, all the things that we hold true to be a righteous, cool human being. Nature teaches us all of it.
It really
from
does,
the wildlife, from the animals, from just massive structures of stone and caves and sea. Like the sea is one of the most ultimate humblers and inspirers. You can be out in the surf and you feel like you're ripping it up on an amazing wave, and next minute a massive set comes in and cleans everybody out, and you may be held under, like we were mentioning before, for a little bit. You're humbled again.
For sure.
And you
100%.
realize you're not this self-important main thing. And even I find myself sometimes driving around, you get aggro in a car. And you're like, mate, what's your deal? Ego stuff coming in.
Yeah.
Whereas nature doesn't have an ego.
No.
And I think there's something beautiful that we can learn from nature. And I think that's the beauty of me being immersed in nature so much. Anytime I need a lesson, nature can give it to me. And I get that most days.
And it really can. Just in a very short amount of time, it humbles us and makes us realize how small we are in this world, like you said.
And then taking it to another level, then seeing communities, like even talking about Sri Lanka. Well, we'll talk about Sri Lanka again in a minute, but like talking about communities who are living in these natural areas in the middle of nowhere. And you've got human beings maybe on our side of the world who, and whichever way it's been directed, where you're told that you need this and you need that, get the house, get the car, accumulate the money, and buy this, buy that, let's become material. And then you go to the middle of nowhere and you've got a community that's so happy, existing in balance of nature on such a good one, and they haven't got all the bits and pieces.
No.
I love that. Even Sri Lanka, like talking about the way that we assess happiness, or it's a whole thing talking about our well-being and everything at the moment. People go back to nature. You've seen people on the street, a family on the street who are selling maybe fruit, and this is all that they've got. They've got a little shack behind that they're living in. They're selling fruit every day. Happy, family, community, like
Community, yeah.
you know. And I love, that's what major thing I love traveling. Obviously, all my other thing with nature, I love traveling to as far out places as I can, just so it reminds you, man, because we forget. You stay in one place, you can get this. It's like cement starts building around you, and you become quite locked and solid, and you're. Not saying everybody, but maybe I'm just referring more to myself. If I stay in one place too long, I'm not surrounding myself with nature too much and just getting in that zone, you just get more and more static and build up holding you in. Like COVID was a bit of a crazy one. You're stuck in one place for a couple of years. But then heading off and just breaking that all apart, even that whole thing about talking about people getting on a plane to go somewhere, having that fear, or the fear of turning up to a new place. I always choose to go to a new place. I love it.
Oh yeah, okay, that's good.
And old school used to be, you go through the Lonely Planet. I won't even try to look at too much on the internet. Just go.
Yeah,
don't book anything.
That's a great way to
have a kind of an idea. Going, I might go here, might turn up, word on the street. Like, so cool. And I travel on my own. So I go away with Bianca and I when I can, because obviously I love my family and family holiday and all that. But once they go from a family holiday, I like to stay on for at least another month or even more on my own. And Bianca's like, why do you go on your own? I go, just to be in that element that you can choose where you want to go, or your direction can change very quickly, influenced by someone or something or a place that you've heard of. I think it's something beautiful in that. So yeah, I think there's a really important thing that people break out and break all this kind of cement that gets built up around us, that we've got a certain way of thinking about stuff or treating other people or whatever. You know, you can go super deep into all of that kind of stuff, but for me personally, I have to break out and change perspective quite a lot.
Yeah, the part that you said there about community, that is something that you really get when you go to these places like India and Africa, and you go to these villages. But it's also something that I felt really kind of happened for a short amount of time during COVID in Jersey. For those, I think for a lot of people, for those few months when everyone was down the beach, there was this kind of community came together.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Everyone was looking out for each other. Everyone was back surfing. Everyone was out and about all the time. And I feel that's slowly slipping away again.
Yeah.
Or quite quickly it slipped away again. We were just down the beach there.
Right.
It was kind of 6 o'clock.
No, you're right. Yeah.
The beach was empty.
Yeah.
4 years ago, that beach would have been full.
Heaving.
People would have been having barbecues. Community would have been coming together. There was that feeling that you get when you do go to very poor areas of India and you look around, you're like, wow, they've got community. They're together.
Yeah.
And as much as some people would walk into that situation and be like, oh, you know, look at these poor people, like it must be really hard for them. But they have what we're losing. Yeah. We're continuing to lose community and that connection. Even though it is what kind of keeps us here, that community is slipping away.
No, you're right. You're right. No, because that's a good example, actually, because obviously COVID was a crazy time. Yeah. I think about, when I think back, I think about a lot of negative aspects that happened then. But saying that, it really did bring everyone together, even though you weren't supposed to sit next to each other or this, that, and the other. But everyone was coming down. It was like, oh, we've got this outside time. We're allowed out. Yeah. But you're right. And because people didn't have the distraction of having to be in their job all the time, obviously it was a bit hard times and all that. But people could be out on different times of the day and just come together. Go, what we're going to do? Our family comes back together. All mates come back together. Random people chatting to each other. So what it did was bring people more together. Yeah. I know other places had it worse, where they had to be like housebound and all that, you know. But Jersey, we were actually quite lucky.
We had a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time. You're right.
Potatoes.
No, you're right. You're right. And then again,
hanging out at the beach and going surfing.
And then that whole thing, money comes, money goes thing as well. It's like I was really worried at that time about money. I was like, how am I going to pay for my rent, or how am I going to do this? And eventually, it all comes back around and it's all good.
Yeah, it does.
It's all good. So why should it be a massive worry? You know.
So outside of those few years, you know, what is it you love so much about Jersey and what brings you back here?
Yeah, that's a funny one, because ever since I'm like a teenager, I've always tried to run away from Jersey, loads, going, oh yeah, even though I had a great childhood, don't get me wrong, I loved it because I grew up on a farm with my grandma, and then, you know, that's where we all got taken down to where my parents were working, so it was completely nature vibe, you know, livestock here and there, people growing all different types of vegetables, we've got the woods behind us, so that was amazing. And the friendships over here, so the community that I do have with all you guys, so many people, you know, you can have a tight net group, but the groups then go out, like, you know, a lot of people in the islands, which is beautiful. But at the same time, the amount of things you can do here, like our connection to the sea. I live at the top of the hill from St. Juan's. I can drop down, or I look on the cam, or I drop down and come to St. Juan's. I can get in the water, whether it's coast steering at Greve de Lec, or going for a swim in the sea, or going on a kite, going on a paddleboard. I can then go climbing on the rocks. I can go inland, or like cliff path walks. And so for me, as like an ultimate nature lover, and something for my job as well, but also for my own food for my soul, Jersey has all of that. It really does. It's in a really compact area. And I think when I go away, I take it for granted sometimes that we've got, you know, really uncrowded surf. I can come to the cliffs, like there's cliffs in England, you know, climbing spots that are like overcrowded all the time. You're queuing. Even El Capitan, when I was climbing El Capitan 2005, if you didn't get up early enough, you're in a queue.
No way.
Which is all day. You know, it's like people going up Everest or something, but, you know, you can turn up, there's no one around. And even though Jersey, they say it's overpopulated, mate, as soon as you come out here, like, where is everybody?
No,
you don't see anybody.
The thing is, there's only a certain amount. There's only an amount of people that you can fit on the island.
Yeah.
You're not getting everyone driving down from the city to come on the beach. Are you? So the beach is always empty here.
So yeah, for me, it's the pure nature. Brings me back every time. Keeps me here. I feel very connected to where I grew up, even though I've got parents from different places in the world. And it just blows me away. And I love that we've got seasons. You know, I've lived in other places where it's pretty much one season and it's hot, and I know you get humidity and rain and all this kind of stuff, but Jersey, I quite like that mix. I like that you can come into the winter and it can feel like you're suffering a bit, you know, that, you know, the sun doesn't come up till like 8 or something, and it goes down at 4, and everyone's cold and this and that. But I quite like a little bit of suffering, but also enjoying that time, because when you come into the spring, it's like a reawakening. Like at the moment, I feel you're so energized.
Oh, so much energy.
You know?
It's so good. This is the best time of year.
Energized, yeah. And then you come in, then it's bringing you into the summer, and then, and then autumn's still really cool, then winter. And then my job follows that as well, like my intensity of my work, which like I've said so much already, that I absolutely love. I come out of the winter, I've had a couple of trips or whatever, and I'll hit February, I get little inklings of work. I'm doing some foraging, I'm doing some foraging walks, teaching kids. Then it comes into the spring, gets a little bit more hectic, Easter. Then comes into like May, June, then hecticness. June, July, August, hectic. September, still a little bit hectic, but starts to chill out. I can get a couple of surf trips in. October, November, a tiny bit busy, but really lovely, wholesome. You feel a little bit more getting into that comfy kind of stage, and then back winter again. So I love it. I've got this nice flow with my job, which I don't think everybody has.
That is a good flow state. It
really
definitely fits into your personality.
Yeah, and then, you know, I've got mates who are working in finance, and there's no start and end really. You can do it out of hours. You can do it all year round. You can do it from another place, like online. Whereas like mine is actually quite directed by people going, it's middle of the winter, mate, don't want to go in the sea or whatever. And just work goes down. But I love that. I've got a natural thing of, even with my body, I'm working with my body now to keep myself in shape. So doing my job isn't enough anymore of being able to stay in shape. Got to do a bit of physio and all that as I'm getting a bit old to stay trim. But I love it, mate. I love that my life, again, going back to our ancestors, you know, you're tuned by the seasons and you're tuned by the elements, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah, that's really
fuels the way I live my life.
You're really governed by the conditions, aren't you, by the weather?
Yeah, which is brilliant. But then, you know, the last few years, like, because I've never been fully into surfing, but the last few years as well, my older brother, Peds, just hardcore, you know, come back from like a couple of months in Costa Rica in like 30 degrees water, 28, 29 degrees water, in shorts and rash vests. The day he's back, he'll put a full winter gear on and go surfing.
He loves it.
And it's just inspiring, you know. So I've now got into like really surfing through the whole winter.
Love it.
And appreciating that level, that I get a bit more time, but doesn't mean I sit back and chill, even though I probably should have a bit of chill time. But it's like, let's go winter surfing.
Come on, man, chill. Surfing is chill.
Yeah,
right?
it is chill in a way. Yeah. Obviously, you get a bit beaten up, but you know,
sitting out there. I don't know, whatever the conditions are, just sitting out there is the time to really kind of shut everything else out your mind and just be sitting in nature. You can't be any more in it. You know, up in the mountains in the snow. Or
no, this is it. Yeah, and exactly being that really. You know, even though I love community, I love human beings and all that, but being that like full solo, you're so far away. Like, especially with mountain trips, you know, I've done quite a few mountains over my life, you know, in certain areas around the world, and you're so far away, anything can happen. But mate, the serenity in that, it's like you're touching nirvana in that kind of thing, from my own understanding of it, that you're in this state of just like, mate, everything's amazing. But also on the edge and this, but it's so cool.
Yeah, I definitely have the same feeling after doing a crazy kind of summer season of photographing weddings of 100 to 300 people, and it's just, you know, 15, 18 hours of just craziness, music, drunk people, like blah, 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 all the time.
Can imagine.
And then I know that I get on a flight and I fly back to Jersey, and the first thing I do is just drive down and sit on the slip at Sands. And that's the first thing I do, and I just sit there and I'm just calm.
Yeah.
And then whether the little waves or no waves, whatever, I know I can sit there and everything just slows back down again.
Yeah. Oh, the power of our water bodies around the world are just another level. And you'll be sometimes that I'll paddle out and I'll sit there and not even really catch waves. You know, you just sat there, just taking it all in. A couple of tropical trips where you're sat out there and pelicans are coming down and they're catching that bank
so good,
on the wave, following each other.
Yeah.
And like Galapagos, man, I was thinking about it the other day, actually, sitting on my board and actually getting to a state I was quite comfortable. Then you got the sea lions. And there's so many sea lions there. There's more sea lions than people, easily on San Cristobal Island. And they're just swimming through your leash around you. And they're quite, you know, it's a big animal. But just to be in that element, mate, it's proper elemental. So much in there, and we get the blessing of being in it.
Yeah.
You know?
It is a gift, isn't it?
And something that's moving and ever changing. Like the mountains, obviously they change, they're affected by the weather, but they're a bit more of a static creature. Okay, you get rockfalls and all that. Whereas the sea, mate, it's on a whole nother plane of how it moves, the alchemy of it. So it's a really cool thing another thing, food for our soul, man.
Yeah, man. And I suppose that's everything in Jersey, right? With the tidal movements that we have here and the change of landscape when the tides, you know, from high to low tide, it's such a big change in Jersey.
That's super cool, because obviously I'm doing my coastal foraging trips and stuff, and I'm going out foraging. So I'm doing foraging for a rum company at the moment, and the seaweed I'm getting is really far out. But it can be even like you've been surfing secrets down at St. Juan's, and then it was massive tide, like 11 meter tide or whatever, or 11.5. We've had one recently. And the next minute, like 6 hours later or 5 hours later, I'm at the furthest point. So all the thing that I was surfing above, the beauty in Jersey is now you're seeing all of what you were on top of before, and seeing the topography of the way everything is and all the creatures that are underneath you. You know, it's super abundant down there. And then I'm right out off the end of the reef and picking seaweed. You're in a different element of it going out.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And it's really cool. And I think we're blessed in Jersey as well. I think that's another thing that probably brings me back. The tidal range here, man, of like you're living in a place that if you're lucky enough to see the sea and you're seeing it as well as it moving and shaking, storm or swell, or it's flat as a pancake and it's clean and it's clear. And the next minute is also going out every single day. Like it's freaking cool. And and I think it makes you aware of of the moon as well a lot in Jersey.
Yeah, do you get, that was my next question. Do you get affected by the lunar cycle?
Big time, yeah.
You really notice it?
Yeah.
Because I've always banged on about this.
Yeah.
And I was just with my friend actually just down the slip there. We've got the same birthday by 2 days.
Wow.
And we always have the same, so loads of energy on coming up to a new moon, maybe, sometimes, not all the time, but loads of energy leading up to it, done 2 days later.
Yeah.
And then even on the mid-moon, I felt weird today, and then again, and she was feeling the same. It's like...
Yeah, massively affected.
Because we're in that part of the world where there is that really big pull, there's a 40-foot pull on the tides, it's going to affect us even more.
Foraging stuff, I'm really aware of that as well. So I was reading books when I was a teen, and it's like planting by the moon. So I was really into all the moon and the moon cycles and crystals and powering up and energies, and you know, with all the things I was into nature, was then talking about earth energies, what's fueling everything, what just makes it so freaking cool, and how harnessing all this, that, and the other, and power of crystals. Anyway, there's planting by the moon was like talking about if you're pruning fruit trees on full moon, it's when the most amount of water, because we're so much water in us as well.
Yeah.
There's so much water is getting pulled into the trees, the sap and everything into the tree.
Way.
So if you cut the tree around a full moon time, it can bleed out more, and therefore it affects your yield. So it won't produce as many, because it's losing so much of its essence out of itself when you've pruned it.
Wow, no way. I've never even thought about it in that sense.
And then
That's
just
crazy.
with a foraging group last week with the National Trust, there's trees on my foraging walk, silver birch trees, that in March and into April, I tap them for their sap. You've got silver birch sap.
Yeah.
So good for you, full of antioxidants.
Really?
Yeah, but what I do is I go on the full moon, and I was laughing with these guys going, I get my cloak out, my didgeridoo. They're like, you came out, and I goes, why do I do it on the full moon? And this lady's like, so you can see at nighttime? And I was like, no, it doesn't have to be at nighttime. You go in the daytime, it just needs to be a full moon, and then I go with my knife, and I do really cool to the tree, and I only will touch the same tree 2 years later.
Okay.
And I don't take much.
Yeah.
But full moon, spring as well, so everything's waking up and it's drawing all the sap into the tree, as well as the moon affecting it.
Wow.
I tap a little hole. I've carved a little stick that I then put into the tree with a little curved bit on the end of it. I tie a bottle to the tree, and it's dripping, and I come back 12 to 24 hours later, I've either got half to a full 5 litre bottle.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you drink it, and it's so good for you, man. And then the stream where I get it from, near this, there's a stream nearby, I then dig like clay, like soil out of there, and I just plug up the hole, done.
Wow.
Trees left. So there you go, just things that we maybe don't think about with the moon, how many things that it affects. Obviously our tide and everything, and then it affects us, and it affects trees, affects nature, animals. That's amazing.
Yeah, animals, like massively. I learned that recently diving with mantas. We saw these mantas mating, and it was an area that had been a few times before, and then nothing was ever happening there. And then all of a sudden there was just this dance going on in front of us. I was like, wow, what's going on? It's like, it's full moon. That's when it goes on. Yeah, man.
It's amazing. It's like the romantic light comes on.
And and it does. Like every full moon, that's when they kind of get active, and you see it. And nature just nature feels it. Like everyone feels it.
It's amazing. So yeah, we're blessed to be able to, even if people are not super aware of it, because some people you can become a little bit desensitized sometimes of noticing stuff that's going around you every day, because it happens every day, like the tide going in and out, taking it for granted. But these big elemental energies around us that's pulling and shaking on everything is brilliant.
Yeah.
So cool.
And so, I mean, you're out here every day taking groups of kids and adults, or
adults
mainly
as well,
kids?
Yeah. Mainly kids.
And what do you do every day, and what are the biggest things that you get?
Now, I love it, and I love it even more now, because from when we're kids, there was no mobile phones. There was computers were starting to appear in school. I remember, I think senior school, I think there was a couple of these old school computers in my primary, but no one was ever using it. It would be one, for the whole bit of a school for loads of classes or whatever. So what's happening nowadays, from us having no mobile phones, none of that crazy technology, now it's like I'm getting parents coming to me, and because they've started kids early on iPads or phones or whatever, kids, it's like this spare time. It's like, what do I do with my spare time? Boom. I like, even around where I'm living, like kids walking to school, and everyone's I was looking at people's posture the other day, and people are walking around like this, and I was going, mate, society, man, like what's, and like obviously there's amazingness in technology. I'm not going to take that away from technology, but just the way that it's come in now for our young people, it's such a distraction, again, even from nature. I've had some kids going, oh yeah, so I heard, this other kid was going, I heard you've been around the Amazon, you've seen these animals, and stuff. I'd love to do. And this other kid goes, why do you go there? And I goes, yeah, we're helping animals. And he goes, yeah, but you can send a robot. Robots can do it. And I went, yeah, but wouldn't you want to go? And he goes, no, I can be from and I can control the robot, it can collect this and it can do this for us. But it's like, this is potentially the next touching on the perception of what should be happening. So when I get kids coming to me from a young age, I'm like, to be able to teach from nature and to see kids inspired or pushing their boundaries, even with a simple thing of going out for a foraging walk, like I see the kids getting spun out going, you can eat that? And this is used for this, and this, and they suddenly, this thing that maybe we might have done as kids as well, picking up a stick and you're hitting a plant and breaking things down, pretending it's a sword or whatever, and suddenly going, oh, actually that has a purpose. And it does this, and we can actually eat it, and it tastes like this. And I kind of steer away from Latin names and that, because I feel like you lose the crowd, even with the adults. So I'm like, we're talking about Haribo plant. I go, this tastes like Tangfastic Haribos, and the kids like, no way. So every time I see these kids, now I've got some kids that I've taught, they're now in their 20s, or even touching like towards 30s, something now, not 30, but 20s. And they're going, remember the Haribo plant? And they're always the first thing they say to me.
That's so
But
good.
You're inspiring them with a little bit of a low risk activity of doing foraging and getting their hands into nature. And the next thing I take off this whole vibe of seeing knives as weapons, and we're whittling, we're carving, we're making fire, we're building dens, we're sleeping outside. You know, and the amount of kids haven't even had the experience of sleeping outside, or don't camp, or parents are too busy. And the next minute you're taking them climbing, or their first experience of co-steering at the sea, and they're scared because their friends have told them, you've got to jump off a 30-meter, jump into the sea. And you're like, no, man, no. We're just exploring the sea from this level. We've got all this protective gear on just in case. But it goes, next minute you see them, a kid's never jumped off a rock into the sea, and they jumped off something that high, and they're buzzing from it, mate.
That's so cool.
And that's nature doing all of it. I'm just this vessel facilitating an experience, whereas they're actively like, you know, all right, nature's doing it all for me, but you're just directing them in a way going, but look at it in this way and look at it in that way. But it's all there for us. The classroom's there, man.
Yeah, it
it's
really
mental
is.
classroom. So, mate, I get so buzzed up, like seeing kids overcoming. And the thing is, in adults, I see it as well. But in kids, you see, it's like they're still malleable. There's still this movable thing that you can help shape and guide and mentor when they're young, you know, and they really listen to you, they trust you and all that. And especially that you've done a cool activity and they have an amazing experience. They've had something that's a potential, like a life-changing change in their brain, that the way that they suddenly perceive that bit of nature now, that they love the sea. But they're also aware of the dangers of the sea, but they're loving that particular element. And then just to see it on their faces, mate, inspiration, change, and then a different respect for nature. Like I've had one parent, this is years ago as well, kid really wasn't into cycling. And then we coached him over a couple of years to get better on his bike. Then after that, he was asking for bicycle parties. Let's jump on our bikes, let's ride from town, let's ride out to St. Wands and let's camp for the night, carry our gear.
Amazing.
This was like from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 onwards. And then those guys have all now gone off, done their own thing. Whereas us guys, when we were kids, if you wanted to go somewhere, your parents maybe luckily would give you a lift. Otherwise, you're on your pushy. You're on your push bike, go, do one.
All the time.
Tie your rod, tie your
to
fishing rod or whatever, tie random things to your bike, go meet your mates.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas I think that's lost now, and I love that I come from a generation that had that whole outdoorsy vibe. Like my mum and dad wouldn't be worried about where we really went. It was like disappear. And just come back, just make sure you come back when it's dark. And you had a payphone, maybe reverse the charges to be able to tell you, I'm going to be late, I've got no money, you know?
Yeah.
So I love that I've had that really cool background and foundation that now all the beauty I see in nature that really inspires me is going to the next generation. Even though there is the iPads and the technology and this and that, I think parents are realising, stick them in activity weeks, stick them on activities, because they're this, you're getting some kids that are just in their bedroom. You know, and that's their life. It's like, what would you be doing in your bedroom before? Okay, maybe when you're a kid, you'd have the luxury of having those old school phones with a really long cable that, you know, you'll be in the other room and you pulled it into your bedroom, you closed the door, let's speak to your mates, yeah, what we're going to do the next day. But you're in conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like this scroliosis, I call it. It's like the modern disease, scroliosis. Because there's not a bottom.
Yeah.
All these technology people are so clever. There's no end.
It just keeps going.
You can keep going. And for a kid, with the attention and all that, just one of them. So I love that I can take them out of that environment and put them into something, and then see that they get inspired and actually enjoying it, instead of them going, oh man, this is rubbish with the outdoors, whatever. Which sometimes you're going to get a bit of that. And I work with lots of different levels, from like super young to older end of teenagers and all that. You know, like we've had some colleges and cadets coming over from England, like even military cadets and all that. But in the whole spectrum of that, I then deal with vulnerable, special needs, massively challenging behavior, people that haven't had a great start in life, in their situation, their family, or whatever things, traumatic things have happened to them in their lives already. I'm using nature as the tool to like bring them through it, or a very basic thing that the way schools are, that you've got a lot of kids maybe not even blending into being in four walls. Of like, they've got this energy, which, you know, as you're a kid, you're gonna have lots of energy, like to then be like, you're in a classroom and maybe it's not a very interactive classroom and you have to listen to the teacher, which I guess we're all expected to do, but we need this outside time. For
sure.
Like Scandinavia and these places, like letting kids roam around till they're 7, and then school is still interactive with the outdoors, mate. There's this element that we've lost, this connection to be able to keep children outside and connected, know what's going on, even as basic as what you can grow, how to grow stuff, how to, you know.
I think it's a gift that what you've given over these years, and I've always been so inspired by what you're doing and following your journey. I don't know if it needs to be pushed more.
Yeah,
like we see the change in the kids' faces when they come down for World Oceans Week.
Yeah,
and you can see it in them. The teachers tell you. They see the kids change, like, wow, okay, they're so drawn back at school.
Yeah.
And now they're down the beach and now they're running and they're completely different kids, right? It's like, well, we need more of that, right? Like, so how do you think that we can get more funding for these things? How can we get more kids involved? How can we give the opportunity to get more underprivileged kids and more children in the system that aren't necessarily getting on that well at school out in more time in nature? Is there an answer to that? Is there something you've looked into?
Well, there's certain initiatives that have been happening.
Right.
So I take small groups out from some of the schools already that managed to get certain bits of funding that they can fund kids to go out, but it's not accessible for all children. Right. It's really select amount of kids that are going out.
Right.
And I think it's government funded, but there definitely needs to be a lot more initiative of even changing the curriculum to suit this outside time, outside of school. Because what I'm doing, I'm working with lots of mental health stuff and all that, you know, and you're seeing the change by just them having the opportunity to come out once. You know, hopefully they get once a week, or they get certain sections with me where I'll take some kids out, and you see the progression and you see the confidence building. I've had some kids who they'll decide not to speak at school. They don't speak. No way. They'll sit in the reception, won't engage in classes, nothing. And one of the counsellors was saying to me, you don't expect to, like, don't feel offended if he never speaks to you. Mate, I took him out the first day, talking, having a laugh. We were doing some foraging, some knife skills. Mate, he was a super chatty kid. If no one had told me, I wouldn't have thought any different. But at school, it's a different individual. And again, it may be bad experience, and moving from primary to secondary can be a massive deal for a lot of kids. And I don't believe there's a great support network. I know the government says put children first and all that, but I think it's a lot more that can be done. And what I've seen from my point of view, because I get from lots of different organisations in Jersey, let's say, they'll say to me, okay, Kazz, can you come out and do some sessions with our guys? These guys from here, these guys from here, young adults, as well as all the kids. And you see it, this change, this confidence building, because it can be even kids getting lots of anxiety, because there's a lot of pressure. There's some schools can be a lot of pressure, or even parents without realizing it, because society is telling you, we need to get these kids to this certain bit. Pressure, man. So much pressure. You know, I feel sorry for a kid sometimes, and you just want to go out and just be kids. And I know that we obviously have to have this academic side because it needs for jobs and skill building and all that. But I think there's other ways of approaching it and making it a little bit more holistic. But it's whether governments want to fund that. Because I see the change.
That's
like,
what, yeah,
you know,
we're trying to get more of it. You know, we're trying to get kind of the government spend to be able to like get more kids down to the beach, and
yeah, it has to happen.
Like knowing that you're there, but then there needs to be more of you as well that we can kind of like rely on, like that we can turn to.
Yeah, because I know even National Trust have got really cool people there taking kids groups out as well. I know there's some other outdoor places, and I think there's some other freelance people doing stuff, but there's probably not a massive pool, to be honest. But then it's getting some of the teachers.
The guys, you know, what the guys have done at Healing Waves, that's amazing what they've achieved.
Amazing.
You know, it's so good.
No, amazing.
So it's so needed, and I think, you know, just the society that we're in now, the way, like you say, the way schooling's going, but it's even coming down to the adults. It's like there's such an unawareness of what's going on now, because everyone's just got their heads in their phones. Yeah. Doesn't matter what age you are. People have just got their heads in their phones. They're not looking around. No one's aware of what's happening around them.
I think if we're talking about fear, you know, we were talking about before, I'd probably say my biggest fear in this present moment is the state of affairs when it does come to. That's a massive one. Like, you know, with my daughter, we've worked through that through years as well. You know, like she didn't have a phone until she was like 12, 13, going to secondary school. Yeah. And then even then, we kept the phone off her at night time, just didn't need it. And then now we're going on holidays. She's 17. We're going on holidays, ditches the phone, ditches it. And I'm silently in my head, I'm like, so happy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But, so happy.
You know, she's had a daddy's.
Yeah, we're all out. We're outdoorsy, and then Bianca, you know, artist and creative. We're not that family to sit there and just be like one of them, you know. Yeah. But yeah, that is one of my big fears, is that. But I guess one thing that I'm hopeful for, that there is still a good crew. I think there's a good crew of people like us in the world that are very nature connected. For sure, yeah. And if you're involved with groups and teaching and things like that, inevitably you're going to pass your passion. Because if you're super passionate about something, and it's in you, it's like what makes you you, and you're able to portray what you feel to others, man, you're going to be changing stuff, and that's still hope there. But this thing that comes in is quite strong and overpowering technology and everything you need to know. I even find it sometimes on my walks, people searching stuff up about what you know and all that. It's whatever. If people want to do that, it's fine, you know, because obviously you can go and search it online at home. But it has become a massive part.
Everyone's just trying to correct you.
Yeah, trying to go, and then I'm going, yeah, but if you look at this name, you'll find this bit of information. And then you start steering people away from it. But most of the time, people come on the walks are very nature-based, and they dive ditching their phones and bits and pieces. And, you know, phones have their places. I don't want to take away from that. But I do think with very young, when you're going through this stage of your brain, your body, everything developing, it's good to get a really healthy foundation in there. And I think feeling comfortable in the outdoors, you know, to a certain point, because obviously the outdoors can sometimes make us feel uncomfortable, which is a good thing to be as well. Yeah. We don't want to sit there being comfortable, but having this fundamental connection to the outdoors is only a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary until you're taught about how to be safe in the outdoors, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's a great thing about being brought up surfing and being brought up on the coast, or in Jersey where we were brought up surfing, is that you have this natural connection with nature, and you learn about ocean safety, you learn about looking out for each other. There is community there, and it's just getting more and more people down to the ocean, and like you say, away from their screens in the evening or relying on screen time all the time.
No, exactly. So nature has its massive part to play, but it's just having the people there to facilitate that connection, especially for the young, you know. And like we were saying, like some people's lives get busy, and parents get busy, and I get it, you know, not everyone has the opportunity to do that, but it's trying to make opportunity if they're going to a school to be able to have that connection. Like you said, man, to the seas, to the oceans of the world, massively. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
What makes you happy?
Mate, all the things I was saying before. Just being in nature. And you know what? I'm weird, man. I'm so weird. Like my family think I'm so crazy. Like my wife and daughter, like, you know, in the morning I'm waking up, I'm singing, I'm full of energy, you know. I feel energy because I'm just so happy about, mate, life's freaking awesome. You know, it really is. I know there's problems and we can get bogged down by different bits and pieces, but just being out in nature, feeling that you're alive, man, just the blessing of just being alive. I feel like I'm grateful for all those small things that we maybe overlook, but the small thing isn't our life, is it? It's a massive thing, but sometimes we take that for granted. But I'm just so happy to be alive, so blessed to be in the job and the environment that I live, the things I get to do. It just makes me super happy. And my family makes me super happy. Doing activities in nature makes me super happy. Traveling, meeting new people, having new conversations, you know, people around the world, the different, you know, even just going to Sri Lanka and even choosing to be there on my own. And randomly you're just either in the surf or sat at a hostel or sat at a cafe or wherever and just randomly strike up conversation instead of this thing of sat on the phone going, okay, not having the conversation with someone. Conversation, man. Like sharing knowledge, sharing experience. Like how freaking cool is that? So yeah, there's so much that makes me happy, man. I think I'm a guy who can be happy easily. I find myself a quite happy guy, you know.
I would say you're definitely a happy guy.
It takes a lot to make me unhappy. You know what I mean? But you know, I'm as human as the next person. You might get a bit of road rage, but next minute it's gone.
I love that you just said, is part of the reason that I've set this up is you just said it then, it's going to new places, walking down the street, chatting to people.
Yeah.
Like that is the thing that's being lost.
Yeah.
And that is the instant kind of connection you can have with people. And it just brings joy to them by asking about them.
This is it.
Talking to them, asking how they are. Because so many people are not doing that. Yeah. So many people are just walking past and just ignoring people as they go past. And there are so many interesting people that walk past all the time. There's so many incredible people in this world. There's the places you go to, the people that you meet. It's just the conversation and the openness to individuals can bring so much joy to you.
Oh, massively. Yeah. And then, you know, again, going back to Sri Lanka, for instance, I find the Sri Lankan people so friendly.
Oh, they are, yeah.
And then even you've gone to a little cafe to have some food or whatever, and then like they'll just come and chill with you and chat for ages. Yeah. Not wanting anything from you. No. Chatting. And like this lady, I was going to this place for breakfast and there's a little cafe next door and it opens right out to the rocky bit and a surf break just there. And it wasn't super busy there, nothing. Really cool Sri Lankan family. And just chat to me every day. And then she'll be they're going around lighting their incense. So much Buddhism is there. Lighting the incense, going around blessing everything.
Amazing.
And I was going at home like, okay, I like a bit of incense every now and again. I used to be very good at every meal, whether you're doing it, prayer as like a Christian or a Buddhist or whatever, but just being thankful. I'm so thankful for what I have on my table. So the Sri Lankan people, like this lady has taught me again so much, but all the things I forget. Yeah. Food comes out, blessing, and then going around the room, like the chair or the motorbike. Let's bless the motorbike. Yeah. You know, let's
it makes you feel good, doesn't
Let's bless this book that, you know, we were going to be writing down what people have paid for today, blessing each other and all that, like so cool. Yeah. And then she was going, so do you meditate? And ask me simple, like, so they just meditate every day. It's just, is what they do every single day. Yeah. Meditate maybe 3-4 times a day. Yeah. And I goes, you know what? I don't actually physically meditate other than I'll be sat on my surfboard in the sea. And I goes, when I'm in that state, there's nothing else I'm thinking of. I'm immersed in that nature. And I goes, for me, that is my state of meditation. Or I'm in the middle of a rock climb and I know you've got fear and challenge and all this going on, but you're in the moment. There's no, oh mate, what dinner am I going to be thinking later? Or
No noise.
what do I need to prepare for that thing tomorrow? You're in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's my state of meditation, but I do want to do a little bit more, like actually sit down meditation. But it's those things as well, man, like we take for granted, those conversations with people reminding you about the things that we sometimes take for granted. But I love that. Traveling, and especially some countries that are not surrounded by technology. I know in Sri Lanka, a lot of people got phones and bits and pieces, but they're not on them all the time, and they want to speak to you. I turned up to a hostel in Cambodia. This is going back almost 10 years maybe. And I walked to this hostel, my friend said, oh, this hostel's amazing. I've forgotten the capital city. It's amazing, you go there, you'll meet some really cool people. I went there and no one was looking up. It was like coming to the evening and everyone's face is littered by the grey light. And I was like, and then I was looking around and then someone my age is sat at the bar, but not on anything. And so I went and chill with that guy and like having conversations over there. So it's that thing, isn't it? But yeah, I'm easily happy. And again, like you're saying, conversation, meeting people.
Openness.
Like my younger brother was, he went to, well, you know, Mehdi in a way, Mehdi and Sonia, they went up to Scotland recently and they were doing a little bit around Scotland and Edinburgh, and they turned up to this pub and they sat down in the pub and they sat opposite each other. This guy comes over, no, can't do that. And they're thinking, oh man, what have we done wrong? Goes, no one's allowed to sit opposite each other who know each other in this place. He goes, you have to sit alongside and all this and that. And he just puts random people in the pub to sit with you.
Does he?
Yeah.
No way.
And then so straight away, like there's this guy and they said this guy was like dreads out here, dreads in his beard. His dogs even had dreads. Dogs are in there. And they're sat at the table, they're going, oh my God. And this guy was like the most educated, lived such an amazing life. And they would never have spoken to him if this guy hadn't said, no, in my pub, like it is a community. Like this is a pub, what a pub is supposed to be. It's a public vibe where everybody comes together from different walks and sorts and we engage.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I thought that was really cool. I know it said a pub or whatever, but you can link that to so many other things. There's people engaging
who's next to you.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Do you?
So there's that element. And I know sometimes we like that. I'm also of that bit. If I've been around people loads, I do like to go and find a place where I'm on my own.
Yeah, you can go and find it. You can come and sit on the end of a
mate.
rock
And then
face,
you can easily find it. You easily find it. But in general, mate, I'm super social. I love people. I love my life. I love all the stuff I do. I love it.
Yeah, I love that.
And inspired by people like yourself. I'm inspired every day by even going down the beach, having chats with people you haven't seen in a while. Oh, mate, where have you been? And what's going on? And just cool, mate.
Yeah,
makes you feel good, doesn't it? Conversation.
Feel good. What advice would you give to anyone just, you know, they're listening to this or they're watching it and they're like, oh, it's easy for you to say, you know, you're out in nature every day. Like, I'm having a shit day. I'm not feeling so good. Like, what advice would you just give to anyone?
Mate, I think sometimes, I guess from my own experience, when you get, you know, you can get yourself, all of us succumb to it. You get yourself in a bad mood, you're in this bad state. You've just got to change what you're doing, where you are. Even jumping in the car, going somewhere. It's just going out for a walk. I think one of the best things is just go and walk in nature. They say, like, if you do 15 minutes only walking through a wooded area, it's like something changes the frequency of your brainwaves. And it really affects your well-being. And I think they're now calling, you know, we've all got different names and stuff, forest bathing. They're saying just go out there. It doesn't mean lie naked.
Forest bathing,
lie naked in the
mind.
forest and like cover yourself in mud and leaves and just go like proper old school. It's like proper just, I think, trying to find whatever natural area is around you close by. I know some people, maybe in the middle of a city or something, you might not be able to get that space. But if you have got access to a natural area anywhere near you and you're in that funk, and you're having a bad one, it's just go and do something different. Go walk in that bit of nature. I think is probably one of the best medicine. Other than speaking to someone, having a conversation, I think immersing yourself in nature is so powerful. Big time.
Just go and dip your...
Well, mate, you know that, man. Just, going down to sea, even going down and just parked in your car, motorbike, bicycle, whatever, and just sat in front of the sea straight away, man.
Watching the sunset.
You're
right now.
you're like education straight in. It's like, And any kind of, I feel like when you're looking at a large body of water, it helps the mind drift. Like the problems that you're maybe thinking about, you know, maybe I'm being a bit far-fetched with this one to everybody if I'm giving people advice, but definitely for me, but you know, definitely for me, I think it can help dilute your problems. You see maybe your life in a little bit of a different way. You know, people always talk about looking to the horizon.
Yeah.
In Jersey, man, the whole island is covered by horizon. You know what I mean? We're looking at horizon all the time. And I know some people can see, oh no, but we're trapped. We're trapped on the rock, you know, this and that. But man, the horizon, you know, looking to the horizon, you're looking out to like, where can we go next? Or what is the next thing? Or if you can't travel,
that's
simple
perception, though, isn't it? You're trapped on a rock. Like, that's perception.
No,
You're
exactly.
trapped on a rock, but you're not trapped on a rock.
No,
because
exactly.
you're on a rock that you can easily get on a plane and you can take off and you can leave, or you can get on a boat, or you can go for a swim. Or
but it breaks down perception of that individual. But you know, I'm not going to give massive advice on you know, because I can get myself in a bad mood, and you're sometimes there for a while.
Yeah, we can all get there.
You know, someone trying to go, oh, mate, go on, and okay, you can hopefully get broken out of it. But yeah, we all get it. But it's finding, and I think, again, I know we've spoken mainly about the core of nature, but it is nature again helps put things into perspective, man.
That is the answer. That's a simple answer, I think. I think it is just to kind of step away from screens or TV or Netflix or whatever kind of headspace you're in and step out into nature. But sometimes, you know, that isn't always easy in whatever headspace you're in, but in a, you know, I've had a bad day, it's been a bad day in the office, the boss has annoyed me, kind of simple things like that is go down the beach, go into the woods, go walk on the...
And I think the powerful thing with it as well, there's no judgment there. There's no one judging you. You're just sat out or walking or whatever way you're experiencing nature, and it's not judging you. It is, nature's what it is. It's not telling you this, telling you that. It's just you being in it. And I think it's a good absorber and a good teacher, man, of anything negative, you know. Helps absorb all that stuff, takes the negative, turns into a positive every time. For me personally, I've had that all the way through my life. Anytime I've been a bit of a crazy one. I remember when I first was able to ride a motorbike, even though I was on my pushy all the time anyway, I would come down any sunset. I knew there was going to be a sunset. I'd go down the beach. I'd watch every single sunset. Even when I go on holiday now, and if I'm taking pictures, it's so funny. People go, oh, have you got any pictures of your holiday? And it would just be sunsets. They're like, where's
Sunsets
that?
And birds,
where's that? Oh, sunset in Africa. Oh, yeah, sunset in Costa. Or sunset in South America. And you're like, it's just sunset. I'm always attracted to sunrise, sunset.
It's special, isn't it, though? Just looking out, just trying to, you know, see if you can see the green flash. And
and then end of the day, that day, whatever experience you've had on that day is finished in that kind of way. If it's been a bad day, good day, whatever, and then you're moving to the next one, mate. Sun is a huge teacher. Oh, we all know, you know, sun and moon.
Light.
You know what I mean?
Light. It's connection, nature, and light.
Yeah.
That's,
So, you know, if we all can have that immersion as much as possible in our natural setting, which is called nature in the sense it's where we're naturally supposed to be. I know human beings have moved so far on into whichever shape or form, but there is this massive thing all the time throughout human history coming back to nature. It's always this foundation, come back to nature.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I know nature can be harsh and it can be cruel, but it's not trying to be cruel. You know, it's not this thing that's going, I'm going to get you and all that. It can be cruel because sometimes, you know, get yourself into situations where it can hammer you, or, you know, you're stuck up in a mountain, it's snowing and it's a blizzard and you've got yourself in a crazy situation, you've chosen to be there. But, mate, I love that it's, again, like we mentioned earlier, it makes us feel small. It makes us remember our place. It's not human beings ruling the whole, you know.
That's the difference between being in nature and being in a big, bustly city, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can say that nature can be dangerous, but being in the middle of a
you know,
city,
you're right, mate. You're right. You're right, actually.
Being alone in a
man.
city, surrounded by millions of people, you're going to feel way more alone than you are in nature.
No, you're right. But some people thrive in that. It's like the urban jungle. They love it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
You know, whereas I'm definitely not one of those people. Sure.
No, I need to be out here.
Yeah.
I love it though. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love being in a city, but I do look around like, wow, you're just lost in there. You're lost in that. You're lost in those people.
Yeah, and you know, I do love it. You know,
energy.
music. You know, obviously, anytime I go to a city, I'm with Bianca. It's like we're exploring artists that I wouldn't have normally been able to see. Like we went to the Tate recently.
Yeah, things like the smells and the music and the sounds and
Yeah,
the noise.
and this
the
guy is
energy,
creating these massive hangings, like huge in the, I forgot what they call that main area, and it's all made out of beer bottle tops and whiskey labels, and
Oh,
it's
cool.
because he comes from this island kind of vibe. And it's all the things that wash up on it. I think was it Zanzibar? I can't remember anyway. But it highlights colonialism and the history of human beings, and all in food wrappers and beer bottles and alcohol and rice, and made into this huge, beautiful hanging.
Oh my God, amazing. Where's that?
That's in the Tate Modern.
Okay.
And I've forgotten what they call it. It's the Turbine Hall.
Yeah, okay.
And
That's
it's
huge.
absolutely humongous.
No way.
And the hanging fills it, mate. He's got a couple of them in there.
I love it.
So stuff like that, you know, you can experience within a city. So I love that anybody can go into a city and you can access areas that are the beautiful things of human beings.
Yeah.
But also you've got complete opposite, which is all the dark and craziness of human beings within a city. So I do appreciate it. It's just not my chosen environment to live in and thrive in. Yeah, this is. I won't thrive in a city.
No.
Whereas I'll survive, but to thrive, I need to be surrounded by nature. Definitely.
That's rad, man.
Wicked.
I think we'll finish on that.
Always a pleasure, Matt.
That was cool, man. I love that conversation.
Yes. Broken butt, but good.
It really hurt.
Yeah, I know, mate.
Sitting on this tiny stone.
But I love it as well, you know, even the whole vibe of like the height and everything. When you sit in an area long enough, mate, you just again absorb all of it.
Oh, no,
so cool. And the dog's chilled and our shadows are there.
Yeah, no, just watching the shadows. We used to be watching that the whole time.
Yeah. Ella, who's that? Who's that, Ella?
She.
Who is it? Oh, she's been super chilled.
Yeah, she's been super chilled. Let me I'll get a little photo of you up here then.
Cool. With dogness. Hey, Ella?
I guess you need to be looking the other way, but...
This way.
No, that way.
This way. Ella, what's this over here? Come. Ella, come here. What's this? Ella, here. Come here. Let's go. Come. Come here. Stay there. Sit. Ella, sit. Oh my God. She's always living on the edge. She's so hardcore.
She hasn't ever, like, fallen down.
No, well, she fell down a little wall, actually down there at Fulton Fisheries.
I love how she just stares. She's always got her eye on something, isn't she?
Yeah, she just notices so much. It's just a little mission with groups around here.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to be...
With the kids and that, mate.
You don't want any of the kids to be on their phone, like, looking at
you know, 1 minute you've got kids messing around, and then you're concentrating on someone abseiling, and it's like, oh my God. Yes, Ella.
Bella.
Ella. And you know what, even with going rock climbing and that, yeah, she always makes the most uncomfortable bit of rock look so comfortable. Just like molds around it. Yeah, epic. Yeah, you can actually see here. That's the opening. That's the opening there that pops out to the other one on the other side.
Yeah, I'll have to go through there sometime.
Yeah. And then supposedly that square was an old Viking hut, and then you've got a dolmen down there as well. So it's like massive amount of human history down here. Ella.
Just looking out here, Kazz?
Looking that way.
Yeah, a bit further out.
That way.
Even further to the left.
To the left. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Oh, what a sun.
And then just stand up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, looking at me here. Yeah, and then looking out to the right there, looking at the sun, dude. Looking back at the camera. Can I just get one with the glasses off?
Glasses off, yeah, no worries.
See how bright this is.
Yeah, watch it on the edge.
I
dude.
know, mate.
You're
I know.
so hardcore.
I always find myself in these stupid places
Yeah,
with the camera.
mate.
It's going to get the
Fair
right
play,
action out of
man.
people. Just try and get a dread out the middle of your forehead
Oh, yeah.
there.
It's always in there.
Just looking out a little bit. About there, that's good, dude. And then just back up here. I know, mate.
Don't lead more than that.
Looking right at the camera. Love it, dude.
Mate, legends.
Thanks so much, man.
I love that. You're like stepping right out there. I was like, you're hardcore. Ella, come on in. So I'm probably going to have to lift her now.
Okay.
She's good at going down. She's just not so much good at going up.
There might
now.
be, I think there's an easier way if you just walk up to the left here and then.
For how far out? Bit further? Ella, come. What's this? What's this? Ella, come.
She's
come
like,
here.
you're playing with me.
Come
I want
here.
to go for food.
Come here. Yeah, she's ready for dinner. Come, La. What's this? Come. Walk back from here.
Yeah, this is good, mate. Yeah, go on.
Ella, come. Here, come. Good girl.
Yeah.
She's pretty nimble when she wants to be, eh, for a 13-year-old. Hey, La. Brilliant.
Love it.
Cool.
Love that shot.